Thank you for listening to Sundays at the Square. I am your host, Toni Ringgold. Hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend thus far. All these weather changes have my allergies acted up, so I'm sorry, y'all, if I sound all stuffy and nasally and things. Whew. But nevertheless, I am here, and I am really stoked about this particular podcast or radio program today. First of all, I want to give a shout out to all of my listeners that are listening via radio. I want to give a shout out to all of my live viewers right now who are going to be chiming in today. Now, I can't look at the camera. I have the amazing Antonio, who is he is a filmmaker. Actually, he's going to be doing the camera today. And listen, Antonio, I'm going to have you you're going to be doing double, because if someone asks a question or something like that, you're going to have to tell me. Because definitely I know there were people that wanted to chime in on this particular topic today. If you're not following B106, make sure that you go and check us out on myb106.com. You can also find us on Facebook at B106 Hip Hop and R&B. Remember that you can catch this broadcast and all of my other broadcasts on myb106.com under the tab at the Square with Toni Ringgold. Now, we are going to jump right into this topic. Usually I have a little bit of small talk, but I'm telling you, we're going to take all the 30 minutes talking about this topic today. Y'all heard me snort. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to be coughing and sneezing throughout this entire broadcast, but I will say this. This particular topic is very near and dear to me, as it is to, I know, a lot of people in the African American community, particularly African American women. I was watching Iyanla Fix My Life. I love the show, folks. Love the show. And on this particular episode, it was a reality TV socialite by the name of Hazel E. She was a very, I guess you would say, light skinned or fair skinned. Like some of us say yellow bone.
Red bone.
Yeah, red bone. Yeah. Right. A woman. And there were some women that I guess were coming for her. And she took to Twitter or Instagram, I can't remember, but it was social media, and she just went off. She was like, all you dark black bees, wish you could look like me, you monkey bees. I mean, she went in. Oh, wow. Now, she had some endorsements, right? She had some endorsements. I believe one was with Shoe Dazzle and some other things, and she ended up losing all of those endorsements. She also ended up, I believe, being kicked off of the reality show itself. And so,
but I do have a new endorsement.
But let me finish. And so what ended up happening was, there was a whole episode that was on colorism. And what happened with colorism is that there were women of all different hues. And Iyanla began to even go back into history. And she had these songs, the girl Hazel E, she has these songs, and she's like, all my money, pop that butt, pop that. She said, okay. She started pointing on the wall. She said, say that to Sojourner Truth. Hey. Say that to Harriet Tubman. Say that to Dorothy Dandridge and Gladys Knight, who had to enter in the back door in order for you to be on the stage you own. And now that you own this stage, look at what you're doing. And when I tell you, it just hit me so hard. These are thoughts and things that I've had within myself. So I said, you know what? I've been blessed with a platform. Yes. And it would be remiss of me not to open up this subject and to talk about it. Yes. Now, I have some beautiful ladies sitting right next to me. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves and tell you all who they are. But what I will say is that I put a post on Facebook, and these ladies immediately responded back, and I said, okay, we're going to get this on. There'll be more to come in just a little bit, but I'm going to start all the way over to my left. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, tell a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I am Phoenix J. Marai. I am a Reiki practitioner, a chakra energy healer. I am an advocate for domestic violence, suicide, mental health. I'm also a radio personality on T's Corner with UITA Radio. And I am also, what else do I do? Oh, I'm a transformation coach where I help women or men in their healings. Well, through their journey of healing. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
I think that was it.
Hello, and I am Serenity Edward. I am a screenwriter, award-winning, and
okay, you got all the award,
and the owner of the business Evolve Forward Media Productions. And I am a veteran, and I'm also disabled permanently because I had a ruptured aneurysm. And in spite of that, I am still rising to the occasion and moving forward and doing positive things like this, being on this program with my sisters in Hope right here.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Julia Burns. I retired from the Army about 3 years ago. I'm currently a clinical psychologist and a sex therapist. I also own several businesses. I own an adult store, and also am the owner of Culture and Harmony, which does everything from bath and body. And I'm a massage therapist on top of that. And I'm very much so an advocate for domestic violence, also about breast cancer in African American women, because it's a topic that we don't get to approach often. And I'm just excited once again, like everybody else, to be here with beautiful women. It don't matter what color we are or anything like that. I'm sitting in a room with beautiful women, and that's all that matters to me. But we're going to talk about this subject. We're going to get it in.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So as you can see, I have some dynamic women on this panel today. It's about to get hot. Bring that microphone all the way down. Keep it right to you guys. Bring it a little bit lower, because when you speak, I want you to speak directly into it. Listen, y'all, I have to make sure that they get in there, because we're going to be toggling back and forth, but this is going to be some good stuff. So what I wanted to talk about was colorism. And I'm going to quickly give you the definition of colorism. In just a second, I screenshotted some of this stuff, and I wanted to make sure that you guys, because for all of our listeners, if you're just tuned in, you're tuned in to Sundays at the Square. I'm your host, Toni Ringgold, and today I have a dynamic panel of beautiful African American women, and we're talking about a particular subject that is very needed. It's also touchy. But we need to talk about this subject within the community. It's called colorism. Yes, colorism is prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. Colorism within the Black community has been a serious emotional and psychological battle. Now, I know that when I was coming in, the ladies were already here. They were having a discussion. One of the things that I want to touch on, and one of you can chime in, is where colorism stemmed from. Because in order for us to understand the definition of it, we have to understand the root of it. So who was talking about Willie Lynch and all of that? We all were. Okay, so whoever wants to jump on in. Let's talk about where it stemmed from. And I got some information, too, that I'm going to share with you guys.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go, because this is one of the things that my sister over here said, Miss Phoenix. She said, stop calling these folks they, and start digging at the root of the problem. And because I would say they, and she's like, who do you mean they? I said, white folks. And she said, well, say white people, say white folks. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. She was like, because you have to dig in at the root. You can't just sit up there and go around the corner and then expect people to think that you understand what's going on. So in my eyes, and having that conversation with her, it's like, you know what? That is a true statement. And, from where I, grew up from and everything like that, I always heard stories about how they separated the darker skinned Africans from the lighter, whoever. And knowing that people came from all different parts of Africa, of those regions and things. But it basically started in slavery. It was rooted in slavery, and I know some people might get mad, but I also feel that it started over there, and that's how they were able to perpetuate it even further. That even in our own tribes over there in Africa, we had a system where we were separated by our skin tones. So when the white people got over there and they saw this, they were like, well, hey, I can exploit this even further, which they did. They took it and they exported it even further, brought us over here, separated us from everything that we know. And then they were like, hey, I know how to keep you all apart because I saw what you all were already doing. So if I can take this and export it even further, and they did. So then you had where they got here. And, as most people always say, darker skinned, blacks were in the field. Lighter skinned blacks were in the house. So you had your field ends and you had your house ends. And that's, you know, where, you know, start digging up at that particular, you know, that particular root right there. So in my personal opinion, that is where it stemmed from.
Can I say something? Because you just touched on something that was really important. I don't know, and I can't really say the term on air, but I know that you guys have heard of the term house, right? We'll say that, we'll keep it at that. House ends, right? And here's the thing. There was a lighter skinned lady that I saw a clip of her talking, and she said, you know, people will always tell me I'm gonna be a house in, but the truth of the matter is, when you were in the house, you got raped quicker.
Yes, you did.
See, you didn't have to go, and they didn't have to go and find you and go all the way out to the field. You were able to be taken right then at that moment. So where people glorify that and make that seem like it's something that's good, is actually just as horrible as what you went through when you were in the field.
Exactly.
Yes, go ahead.
Subject to abuse.
I'd also like to add that the majority of those in the house were there because they were actually children of the, you know, and that's why they were in the house as opposed to in the field, because they had already, you know, he had already gotten to someone in the field. They gave birth to someone that was half theirs and put in the house, so that they could be around around his children.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And even though the children may not have ever been acknowledged, right?
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Oh
Ms.
yeah,
Phoenix.
I mean, that's what I was getting ready to say. Even though the children are never acknowledged, they still had special treatment. If you ever had the opportunity to watch, I think it was Underground, and it came on, I think it was Netflix. I don't know. I think it was an original Netflix movie, Underground. And it even showed it even further in there how he was a governor and he was running for Senate, but yet his children were in the house. But see, when his boy acted up and was no longer, you know, acting as if he purposed for him to act, he hung his own son so that he could become a senator. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So that he could have the power that the white people wanted him to have, because his son acted up. But see, he didn't want them to know that that was his son. So in order to do it, he took life from this woman and then stuck her in the hot box after you done hot boxed her a couple of nights before.
Wow. That's deep.
You see what I'm saying?
That's deep. And so I want to go a little bit further into history. After the slave trade, there was something called the brown paper bag test. Okay. Did y'all talk about that?
Yes.
So I had the honor and the privilege of portraying the incomparable Miss Bessie Smith. If you do not know who Bessie Smith, if you do not know who Bessie Smith is in history, you need to know. If there wasn't a Bessie Smith, there wouldn't have been a Beyonce. There wouldn't have been a Rihanna. There wouldn't have been a Whitney Houston. There wouldn't have been any of these African American queens that you see up here singing and doing their thing. In her heyday, she was the highest paid African American entertainer of her time. Okay. Now, Bessie Smith was what you would call a dark skinned woman. She was chocolate. Okay. I love the word chocolate. She was chocolate, honey, sweet. Yes, she was. And she used to go, and she wanted to go and be a part of they used to have these troops that would go and travel and perform. They would sing, they would dance, and all of these things. But what they had was the brown paper bag test. So you had to be the color of the brown paper bag or lighter in order for you to be able to be a part of these shows. And if you weren't, they would not use you. And she went and she did it, and they told her, "Oh, honey, you too dark." So what she did was she went and started her own show. And then it turned around and ended up being the highest paid African American woman of her time. There was another saying, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let you go, Miss Serenity. There was a saying, and it's that they used to say back then. It said, "If you're white, you're all right. If you're yellow, you're mellow. If you're brown, stick around. If you're black, get back." Now that's sad. Cause listen, y'all know it. I didn't know this.
Yes.
I did not know this. I was sitting here doing some research, and that's a damn shame.
Yes.
I mean, sorry, radio, but that is a shame. Like, You knew this. So where did y'all hear this?
Oh, girl, I grew up in Northeast Texas in a predominant white. I went to school with predominant white. So, of course, this was something that I grew up knowing. Because even in our community, it was like that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was the tar baby because I was dark skinned. So they really didn't like playing with me because I was so dark.
Wow.
Which I didn't care about them calling me tar baby because I was a fighter. So it really didn't matter to me. But as I grew older and I had to realize, I realized that there was a particular attitude and personality that I had to have.
You adapted.
And I adapted to that because I became a majorette. You know what I'm saying? I wanted my hair to be straight and long, so I started getting weave. You know what I'm saying? I made sure I stayed slim, so I started having problems eating. You know what I'm saying? Making myself throw up because I want to stay skinny like the white girls. You know what I'm saying? All this type of stuff because I was the only black majorette. So I had to look like them. Right. At least that's what they said. Right. You know? Well, the white people
when you were
say,
supposed to be thick.
When I
you
was supposed to be
big.
thick. Yeah, because you see me. Yeah, I'm trying to be skinny and I was supposed to be thick.
Fighting what
I'm naturally supposed to be to fit into their criteria.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, back then, girl, please.
Yeah, and, you know, for myself, it's pretty much so the exact same thing, except for I'm light skinned. You know, I had to fit in because I was technically the lightest. And, you know, we'll just throw green eyes in there on top of it. We just gonna throw it in there on top of it. You know what I'm saying? So I was the lightest and I had green eyes, at least on my block. And I'm from Chicago. So you had these little rhymes that people were used to saying stuff like that. And, you know, and it was sad because these are black children saying these rhymes, you know, and we're pointing at each other saying these particular rhymes. And I had the, you know, exact same thing, except for I had to figure out how to fit in to be black. And I couldn't figure out how. You know,
I needed to hear that.
I was like, how does that work? And it is. Because I was like, you know, how does that work? I'm already black. I came in this world black. So people are like, you don't act black. Because I remember I wanted to date a boy. I'm not going to say his name, but he's not even here anyway. But, you know, I wanted to date him. And I went to him and I said, will you go out with me? And he told me no, because I am white. Because I said, will you go out with me instead of go with me? And I was like, what's the difference? You either want to date me or you don't want to date me. And I couldn't figure it out. But they were like, you talk white, you act, you look white, you act white, so you're not black enough. And I've never, ever, I'll tell my age, I don't care, I'm 40. And I've never been black enough. So I spent half my life trying to perpetuate what I thought meant being black.
Wow.
So if that meant being, you know, the loudest chick on the block, being the one to always fight, being the first one always out there doing something crazy, stupid, because this is what, you know,
we're taught that black is.
Right.
So you just hit something right there. Did you hear how she hit that?
Yes.
She just hit 2 points.
Girl, you hit because I had to learn how to be black. I still have to learn how to be black. And I gave up after a while. I was like, well, forget it. I am what I am. I said, I don't fit in with my own race, and I don't fit in with the white folks. Because white folks is like, well, hold fast. We'll deal with you, you know, up to a certain point. But then you still have to understand you still got a place. Okay?
And stay in it.
Right, and make sure you stay in it. So, you know, you can't come up here to this water fountain, and I'm just going to use it as an analogy. You can't come to this water fountain and drink with me. But I'll get you some water in a cup and I'll bring it to you from my water fountain if you'd like me to, just so I could stay around you, because I was the closest thing to black that they could get. And I'm like, but I ain't even black. Y'all more accepted than I am in my own community.
Wow.
Wow, Miss Serenity. Okay, first of all, we're going to take a quick break. Listen, y'all hold fast. We'll be back in just a minute. You are tuned in to Sundays at the Square.